Even though we have been divorced for quite some time, I have come to realize that my feelings for my ex-husband still persist. The deep affection I feel towards him continues to linger, and I find myself pondering the thought of reconnecting with him. I'm a 38-year-old woman while he is a 40-year-old man. We have a beautiful history together, having been married for a significant period of 8 years. During our marriage, we were blessed with 2 incredible children, a wonderful 12-year-old daughter and an adorable 9-year-old son. Now, as I reflect on our past and the love that once blossomed between us, I wonder if it is worthwhile to take the step of reaching out to him to see if the embers of our love can be rekindled and potentially create a brighter future for our family. Over the course of the past 2 years, I made a grave mistake and betrayed his trust by engaging in a detailed and intense affair with someone outside of our marriage. The consequences were severe, leading to the dissolution of our union shortly after he discovered the truth. Despite my efforts to repair the damage and salvage our relationship, he made it clear that he no longer desired any kind of reconciliation. Sadly, this marked the definitive end of our once loving marriage. In the aftermath of our separation, we have maintained minimal contact for approximately 4 to 5 years, leading completely separate lives. One of the consequences of our split was that he was granted primary custody of our children, as I had been a stay-at-home mom, while also holding a part-time job for personal enjoyment. It was there. I met my lover and began an intense affair. It wasn't a mistake. I take full responsibility of it. I've been in therapy for the last few years. It was harsh to realize what I put my ex-husband through. All lockdown and COVID had me taken down. But I realized that it also made me a better person. How so? Well, let me explain. Over the past few months, I've been putting a lot of effort into self-improvement. I've been hitting the gym regularly, seeking therapy to heal emotional wounds, expanding my knowledge through books, and acquiring new skills. I've even managed to secure a job at a software company. Despite all this progress, I humbly admit that none of it excuses my past actions. Since our divorce, I've chosen not to pursue any romantic relationships because deep down, I held on to a glimmer of hope that we might reconcile one day. Although I wasn't content with our marriage, I eventually realized that my own insecurities played a significant role in our difficulties rather than solely blaming him for our problems. He had crippling depression, and I couldn't be a better wife. Instead, I cheated and broke him even more. You can call me a selfish person because I was at that time I was cheating. I'm not trying to sweep it under the rug. He's awesome and no way I can ever compete with him. He certainly deserves way more better than me. He has legitimate reasons not to ever date me because I stabbed him in the back. But I wish for one single chance to prove myself. I asked my kids about their dad whenever they were here, also asked if he was dating. They said no, he wasn't. Of course it does not. Gives me the right to reach out to him, but I can't stop thinking about him. For a span of 5 long years, which amounts to a staggering 1,800 days, I have patiently lingered in anticipation, yearning for this very moment. One undeniable truth reigns supreme throughout my being. I am deeply and unwaveringly in love with him. The intensity of this emotion surpasses any connection I have ever experienced or will ever encounter in my entire existence. Regrettably, I am acutely aware that I lack the authority or influence necessary to engage in any form of negotiation. In acknowledging this fact, I must admit to the abundance of self-centeredness that accompanies my desires. Throughout the preceding years, I have ceaselessly endeavored to extend a helping hand towards his well-being, continuously striving to offer support and guidance in any way possible. We've talked, and we are currently on good terms. What I did is not forgivable, and I will repay for it for the rest of my life if needed. I don't know if that's a good idea. We were married for near a decade. I know him, but I'm still afraid to reach out to him because I don't know if he would like it. We communicate 10 to 15 times monthly texts and calls, mainly because of kids, but also he asks, "How am I doing?" I ask him the same. I'm just afraid to take this step. Should I reach out to him? TLDR, I cheated and my husband divorced me 5 years later after therapy. I want to reach out to him for us to give another try, but I'm unsure if I should. The primary reason why I don't want to cause him any pain is because we currently have a good and friendly relationship with each other. I kindly seek your assistance to provide guidance in this matter. I want to share an update after a month since I previously discussed my situation on this platform. If you're interested, you can still find that post in my profile. When he last brought the kids over, we engaged in casual conversation. During that interaction, he mentioned that he had something important to discuss with me. I had butterflies and thought this might be my chance. We finally met on Saturday night. I tried to look my best, even to the point of buying an expensive dress and doing my hairs like the way he liked. It all went in vain. He arrived with a girl that looks far more younger than me. I couldn't recognize him first due to him losing a lot of weight. But damn, he looked sexy. The girl looked like in her 20s, but I was thunderstruck when he said she's actually 34. They met at a business event. She's a widower and manages her late husband's business. I was impressed. Jealous, but impressed. We began small talks before he told me he wants to marry his girlfriend and is planning to introduce her to the kids. However, he insists that she meets me first. So, there we were. He excused himself a bit before she and I had a conversation about the situation. Despite my lingering resentments, I must admit that she seems to be the perfect match for my ex-husband. They both share qualities of being genuinely good people. Her life hasn't been easy either. Her father abandoned her, her mother was in an abusive relationship, and she too experienced abuse in that environment. Her ex-husband had an untimely death, and after all that she found love again in my ex-husband. I have genuine respect for her. She mentioned that my ex told her I cheated, but we also had many underlying issues, which is true. He still has a cordial relationship with me for the kids, which she admires in him. We talked about the kids. Ex sensed I was feeling triggered and asked about me. Truth to be told, I was going to spill out my beans, but held back somehow. No way I could compete with her. It was a very nostalgic but awkward feeling going out with them, but it was an eye-opener for me. They both make a very good couple. Their pain just brings them closer. I am feeling a mix of emotions right now as I had to let go of a wonderful person in my life. But at the same time, I find solace in knowing that they have found happiness with someone else. It's a bittersweet situation that I'm experiencing, and I would like to take a moment to read some comments before moving on to the next story. When I read the update about this situation, I couldn't help but feel a tinge of sadness because I had hoped for a different outcome that aligns with your desires. However, I also felt a sense of pride for your maturity and kindness in accepting the circumstances as they are. In order to convey my support and understanding, I want to extend a warm virtual hug to you. I want you to know that all the work you are doing is not in vain, as has been pointed out here. It is not too late. You can find love again and do everything differently. And before that, you can really be happy. Single. Being the best mother for your kids. Creating amazing experiences with your friends. Life didn't end here. Our past bad decisions can have these painful consequences, but they don't define the rest of our lives. You have a lot of life ahead of you. You have a lot of chance to start over and find love in a healthy and meaningful way without making any of the past mistakes. I wish you all the best. Now let's delve into the details of the second story titled, I am immensely delighted that my ex-wife is currently miserable. 3 years ago, at the age of 47, I discovered that my former spouse, a 45-year-old female, had engaged in an extramarital affair. It was an unfortunate revelation when she admitted to meeting a man at her workplace, which subsequently led her to declare her love for him. Gradually, she confessed that her affection for me had dissipated entirely, expressing a desire to terminate our marital bond. Astonishingly, this decision was prompted by a mere 3-month acquaintance with the individual in question. She and I have been a couple since our teenage years, and together we've built a family with 3 wonderful kids: Tatum, who is 25 years old, and 2 others aged 22, one of each gender. Despite my efforts to salvage our marriage and my reluctance to entertain the idea of divorce, she continued to see another man. The breaking point came after a weekend when she was absent from Friday afternoon until Sunday night, prompting me to make the difficult decision of asking her to leave our home. She immediately moved in with this guy. The only excuse she ever gave me was I never wanted to hurt you, but there's just something about this guy and I deserve to be happy. That was it. That was the depth of her reasoning for throwing everything we built together away. We ended up finalizing our divorce in early 2022, although I had very hard feelings toward her. I faked it enough to get pretty favorable divorce terms from her. It seemed she was so eager to be with her dream man that she didn't have time for a long divorce. So in the end, I got to keep my pension. And the house which I had bought for my grandmother, I did have to give her half of my 401k. The impact on our children was profound, and all three of them struggled to cope with the situation. My eldest son even went as far as telling her that if she chose to be with this man, he would cut off all ties with her. Presently, neither of our sons maintains a relationship with their mother. While our daughter does engage in occasional conversations with her, their relationship is strained and challenging. My daughter is a very kind person and she tries, but she usually ends her conversations with her mother even more upset than when they started. About 4 months after the divorce, my ex contacted me out of the blue. She told me she had made a terrible mistake and asked if she could come home. Her dream man turned out to be an alcoholic who she says is verbally abusive and wasted all of her money. I used this opportunity to tell her exactly what I thought of her as a person, a wife, and a mother. I told her this was her life now and to deal with it. I told her she no longer had a home at this house and to never contact me again. Then a few things happened over the last year that have driven her to start trying to contact me again. I wanted to share that I've met someone new. My sister introduced me to a friend of hers who has also gone through a divorce, and we really connected. We've been spending time together since last summer, and even though we've both agreed that marriage isn't in the cards for us, we're happily together. When my ex found out about this, she attempted to reach out to me again, but I chose to ignore her. My son also got married and didn't invite his mother. She again contacted me to try to get me to intervene on her behalf. I told her I would talk to him, but I never did. Secretly, I feel like she deserves all the pain she's feeling when it comes to our kids. She destroyed our family without so much as an afterthought. Too bad. So sad. Now she recently told our daughter that she finally broke it off with that dream man because she could take his drinking and total lack of responsibility. He wasted her half of the 401k that I had to give her. He also totaled her car driving drunk. This from a man in his 40s. Again, she knew this guy for 3 months and torpedoed our whole family for him. I may put on a sympathetic front, but deep down, I take a certain satisfaction in her unhappiness. Some might call it malicious, but I couldn't care less. She brought all of this upon herself, and in my eyes, she's getting what she deserves. There was a Saturday night when I had to endure watching her prepare for a date with this guy. To add insult to injury, she even laughed on the phone with her friend about the awkwardness of our living situation. I lived in hell for over a year because of her. Wait until she finds out our son and his wife are going to have a baby later this year. Maybe if she had been able to keep her legs closed, she'd get to meet her grandchild. Enjoy your shitty 1-bedroom apartment and your broken-down used car. Me and my new partner will think of you when we're on vacation in Hawaii this summer. Hawaii was the trip my ex and I always planned to take once our daughter finished college. Maybe I'll send her pictures. TLDR, my ex cheated on me and now she's miserable and I'm overjoyed. Salute to you, Op. You are a champ. Now the top comments. Unless you've been there, it is impossible to understand the mind. That is an exit affair. Experiencing the natural consequences unfolding is quite a spectacle. Op expressed, I hope Hawaii is amazing. Indeed, it's a bewildering experience to have the person you've been with since you were 20 come home from work one day, confessing that they've fallen in love with someone they've only known for a few months and declaring their desire for a divorce. I'm sorry if this happened to you too. Another comment. Post the F out of those vacation pictures. Try and get the local paper to cover your trip. I legit live in a town small enough that this could definitely happen. This reminds me of when we would visit my grandma. The town was so small they put it in the paper we visited lol.